Survival horror games. Never been the biggest fan, and that's mostly because I stink at them. I never beat the Evil Within, only got to the second night of Five Nights at Freddy's, and didn't watch all 264 parts of Pewdiepie's Amnesia series. In these types of games I usually hoard my items, and this combined with the aiming of a rock isn't the best. But recently I've been obsessed with the Devil May Cry franchise, and maybe I'll do a video on that, but not anytime soon though. I gotta play some more bad DS games first. Anyways, I was watching a video about the DMC lore and learned that the early versions of Resident Evil 4 was changed to Devil May Cry as it strayed too far from the other titles. This interested me in the series, and I've been hearing great things about the Resident Evil 2 remake, so I decided to pick it up and see what I've been missing out on. Well, also Resident Evil 3 was $40, while this was $20 on the Xbox Summer Sale, so I had to go with this one. Resident Evil 2 is a remake of the original, which was released on the PlayStation, and I gotta say, the remake looks incredible. Meme aside, here's the actual game. Starting with the story, I enjoyed how it was handled. You play as Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie police officer in Raccoon City. There's a mysterious G-virus spreading around, causing people to be infected and become zombies. The main goal of the game is to escape the city and cover the truths about the outbreak along the way. I enjoyed the plot, it was easy to follow, and it was well paced, adding new characters and enemies as you progress. I liked most of the characters. Leon's pretty neat, Ada's badass, and Mr.X is a great villain. Yeah, great characters all around. Fuck this guy.
Hi.
The game feels good to control. It really makes you feel like you're a Resident Evil. You play in third person instead of the tank controls from the older games. Now, I never played the original, but I enjoyed how the remake controlled. I liked how the game presents you parts that you can't solve right away or are locked off and you need to come back later to access them. A lot of the puzzles are presented in this style and you need to find parts around to combine them to progress. I felt smart when unlocking a new area or using resources given to solve puzzles. That is, well, when I could figure out what to combine. Some of the puzzles I'll admit I was too much of a dumb guy to beat and had to resort to the unholy method of a walkthrough. Integrity? What's that? And I'm not proud to admit it, but it took me quite a while the first time through before realizing to get the medallions for the goddess puzzle you have to use the notes that you find in the police office. It's probably why I got a C as my final score. Well, that and I save every time I find anything. Another aspect I really like was Leon's progression as the game goes on. The zombies take a lot of headshots to kill, and that alongside my aiming made me really cautious and nervous to fight the zombies. As the game goes on, you unlock more weapons like the shotgun, the flamethrower, and on Claire's playthrough, the grenade launcher. This helped me feel better and worry less about the zombies, especially with the shotgun and grenade launcher. This escalates until the very end of the game when you get the rocket launcher and you can obliterate through a group of zombies, albeit for the last 5 minutes. And even though you do feel stronger as the game goes on, I never felt overpowered in my playthrough and was still cautious of ammos and supplies. What Resident Evil 2 does best is creating a nerve-wracking atmosphere. The music and narrow hallways give a feeling of uncertainty of what lies ahead, and the enemies in the game complement this. What comes to mind is the first encounter with the liquor. This part doesn't have a cutscene to introduce the enemy like some of the other ones do. Instead, you'll see it grab someone from the ceiling and hear it move around. This part frightened me, and because I didn't want to waste my ammo, I tried to slowly walk past him, making the moment even more intense. It's especially terrifying knowing where an enemy is, but having to go back that way to progress. Yeah, why do I even play games? Now I can't finish this overview without mentioning the tyrant Mr.X, who is the sole reason for many moments. He's introduced after reaching the parking garage, and yeah, you can see why he's a threat. Shortly after this, he will follow you constantly. You can't kill him, you can only down him, but that uses a lot of ammo, so it's not the best. Even when you escape, it always feels like he's not too far behind, and he can go into the main hall, which up to that point I thought was a safe spot, so that was a nice surprise. You hear footsteps throughout, and along with the music made me dread leaving the safe spots. In my opinion, moments like these are when Resident Evil 2 is at its scariest.
The top 10 scare. Number 1.
Re 2.
Although these sections spooked me, I felt a lot more calm once I got past them, and after beating the police station in general, the game was a lot less scary. That's not to say it wasn't scary after this. I mean, I still get nightmares about this chess piece puzzle, but for real, enemies like the plant zombies didn't give me the same chills as lickers or even zombie dogs, whose speed and having to fight multiple of them would always worry me before entering a room with them. With the flamethrower, the plant zombies weren't that menacing, and it was only after I beat the game and tried the extra mode I learned that they could kill you in one grab. Boss fights are pretty neat. Most of them are different forms of William Birkin, a doctor who injects himself with the G virus. You learn more about the doctor as the game goes on through some videotapes, and this relates to how the virus spread in the first place. I enjoyed the first and third fights a lot. In the first fight, Birkin is swinging a pipe around, and as the fight goes on, the area gets more foggy. I lost track of him at one point and jumped when he eventually attacked me. The third boss fight, while not as scary, is more menacing as Birkin is faster and he grabs parts of the area to throw at you. A few of my deaths came from this part. I even got asked if I wanted to pussy out on assist mode, which, to be fair, I considered. I didn't mention much of the second boss fights with Birkin, as this was more frustrating to me as, well, I sucked at it. It took me a bunch of tries to get the conveyor belt to hit him, or not to get hit by it. And hey, look at that! I won't spoil the final boss as I think it's more fun to play the sequence yourself, but no, it was a great fight. Resident Evil 2 was my first game in the series and the first horror game I actually beat. I never played the original, but as its own game, it's an amazing experience that was terrifying and made me a fan of the series. I recently bought the 7th game that came in this not so nice package, and I plan to pick up the 3rd on Black Friday, well, that is if the world doesn't end before that. Resident Evil 2 is honestly my favorite game I played this year.
You're all going to die down here.
Well, besides 50 classic games, but come on, that one's a classic. Resident Evil 2 gets a 2 out of 2. Too scary.